Hello, everyone. This is Jessica Vaughn with C&T Publishing, and I'm here today with Amy Robertson of Doodle School. Amy, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Jessica?
Doing pretty well. And it looks like we're going to be talking about some really exciting things today with your Doodle School. Do you want to talk a little bit about what it is and sort of the concept behind it?
Sure. So Doodle School is based on a doodle challenge that my co-author, Dara Thomason, um, did online on Instagram in, I think it was 2019. And she got the idea of turning the challenge into books. And she took the idea to C&T and got it approved. And then she got really busy in her own business, and I had participated in the original challenge, and she asked me if I would co-author it with her. So that's how I came into it. She was also my business coach and life coach at the time. And so yeah, that's how it started. The challenge was basically it's for free motion quilters to there's a lot of benefits to participating in it. Part of it is if you doodle regularly, it does improve your free motion quilting. It improves your aim and your spacing and so on. And also it helps you develop a lot of new ideas. So there's a lot of benefits to doing it. And
before we get too much into the doodles
oh, yeah, sure.
and free motion, let's talk a bit about free motion, because I know not everyone here is a quilter. Some people might not be as familiar. So do you want to talk a little bit about what free motion is and sort of how you got into it?
Yes. So I started free motion quilting about 4 years ago. I got a job at a quilt shop, and I had experience with quilting, but it was all hand quilting. I did hand piecing and hand quilting. So when I started working at the shop, I was selling machines, and so I had to learn about all the machines and how to use them. And I really found myself gravitating toward the long arm quilting machines. So what free motion quilting is basically is, as opposed to digitized quilting or hand quilting, free motion quilting is quilting on a machine, whether it's a long arm or a domestic. And the quilter is the one in charge of creating the pattern. So if you're quilting on a long arm, you're driving the long arm basically and creating your own design. And if you're on a domestic machine, you're moving the quilt around to create the design.
I've heard people call it the stick shift of cars in terms of sewing. You're really in control of the end product.
Yes, right, exactly. So with a computerized or digitized design, you map it out on your, if you're on a long arm, you put it in everything you need into the computer, but then the computer takes over and stitches it all out. So that's the main difference.
And so if someone wanted to get into free motion, do you have any advice for somebody who's never attempted it before and is just coming in completely blind?
Yes. So I can think of a few things. One is just be prepared to make a lot of mistakes at first, and don't be hard on yourself, because everybody starts out with a lot of wobbly lines and having a really hard time hitting, their points or wherever they're aiming for. And so be very patient with yourself. If you compare yourself to someone who's been free motion quilting for a while, I'll probably get you discouraged. And just know that they have spent hours and hours to get where they are. It really does take time and practice, but you can do it. You just have to put in the time.
Did you have any sort of interesting mistakes or any big oopsies when you were learning, or just anything memorable?
Lots of them. So I jumped into quilting for hire really quickly. I started up my long arm quilting business within, I'm going to say, 4 months after I got my long arm. And so I I have had quilts where my bobbin tension has been way off, and I've had to take out a lot of the stitching. That's really the biggest problem I generally have, is getting the tension correct. I've had times when I've had to take out designs just because they didn't work. They didn't look very good, and I had to redo them. So,
Have you found any sort of tried and true method for the bobbin tension, or is just every case a little different depending on the thread?
well, it does. That's the thing with long arm quilting. You do a lot more adjusting your bobbin tension than you do on a domestic machine. I always test my bobbin tension before I get started. So usually I've got extra backing and batting, and I'll stick a piece of just scrap fabric on top and do a test over to the side of the quilt. But even so, and I don't know if this is just my machine or if this is common for long arms, but they have the larger bobbins, and I have noticed that if I put in a full bobbin, my bobbin tension will change as the bobbin gets more empty. So I actually end up tightening my top tension to compensate for that as the bobbin starts to empty out.
Wow, that's the kind of thing you can't learn except through experience and tried and true
Yeah,
methods.
and whether it's my machine or not, I don't know. I might need to take it in for a tune-up and see if that helps. But those are the things that you learn as you get familiar with your machine too, because they all have their own little personalities. So,
Yeah,
and
each
that
one
takes
has its own
spending
thing.
time on it.
And did you want to tell us a little bit about the Doodle notebook that you just did with us? Because I think that's really fantastic and such a great place for people who don't even know where to begin in creating their own designs.
Yeah, so we published 2 books with CNT. So the first one is called Doodle School. So here's that. And is it backwards for you?
Oh, it's perfect.
Okay. This one's called Doodle School, a daily design challenge to up your free motion quilting game. So I talked a little bit about how it's based on the challenge. And the way it's set up is each chapter we call a day, since it's one day in a 31-day challenge. And with each day, we give you a different prompt. And so, for example, here's day 2, and the prompt is circles. And you can see we put in some nice color pictures to give you inspiration. And I wrote let's see, this way. I wrote an intro that, to give you some more ideas. And then we also show you how to doodle out various just basic designs using lines or circles. So this one was day 1. I'm totally backwards. I need to look at the book. So day 1 was lines. So these are some things we show you. And then with circles, here are a
Oh,
few
wow. It's
basic.
amazing how a single shape can be so transformed just depending on the scale and the positioning.
Yeah, and the space you're putting it into also. And then at the end, we've got some coaching tips. Since Dara is a life coach, she has a lot of good ideas just for being successful in taking the challenge and for improving your free motion quilting. So that's the main Doodle School book. And then Doodle Notebook is the companion. So it has the same prompts for every day of the challenge. So this one is Holly.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
Dara and I came up with a bunch of new doodle designs to go into this book. So it's got a lot of things that aren't in the first one. And then it's got spaces for you to draw your own doodles.
Yeah, I had been looking through the Doodle notebook specifically because of all of the really interesting prompts, and I found that there's so many opportunities to really be creative and just as much as you're skill building, it's really growing as an artist as well. And I thought that was really, really
Yeah, absolutely. I've considered myself an artist for my whole life. It's just something that I've always enjoyed and kind of naturally taken to, but I'm not great at coming up with original ideas. But I found with this challenge, it really pushed me and motivated me to try to think of new designs. And I came up with things I would have never thought, were in my head. It just kind of pushed me to think more creatively.
And we have some of those to show to everyone. I will get those up on our screen if you wanted to just talk a little bit about some of those.
Yeah, sure.
And I will get that up there. And all right, so here we have our first one.
Okay, I can't see it.
Oh, all right. Well, the first one is the water
The
challenge.
water. Okay. All right. So I think you'll notice as you look at the first doodles that Jessica is showing are ones that I did back in 2019 when I originally participated in the challenge. Okay, I can see it now.
There we go.
Yeah, so there were other people in the challenge whose doodles were much neater than mine. I wasn't really trying to be really neat. I was trying to come up with different ideas. So I knew I could always come back to these designs and perfect them later. I just wanted to get the ideas out. But with water, I thought about all the different ways that water can flow, the different forms it can take. And I also, with all of these doodles, did a lot of looking at images online to get ideas there too, and just tried the ones that seemed the most interesting to me.
And what I think is so great about this is each one is so very different, yet everyone reads as water. I
Yeah.
think that's just so interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. And it looks like, let's see if we can get the next one. There we go. And next one is scales. And I like the pun.
Right. So with all the prompts, I tried to think, what are all of the different definitions and, how can I kind of explore that? So with scale, you can explore size, you can explore musical scales or scales on a fish or a snake or whatever. And I down at the bottom, I did what we call in free motion quilting or quilting in general, clamshells. To me, those look just like scales. So I just decided to play with those a little bit too.
I've always thought they look more like scales myself.
Yeah. But they got named before we came along. So
oh, wow. This is beautiful.
yeah. So this one was clouds. And again, just trying to think of the different forms that clouds can take and different ways that I could kind of interpret them. And the one on the lower right is based on another lady's free motion quilting design that I saw online. And I'm going to be honest, I did get a lot of ideas from just Googling, for example, free motion cloud design is probably what I Googled when I found that. And I would usually change up the design in some way to kind of make it my own, but I got a lot of inspiration online from other quilters.
It's beautiful. There's so much sense of motion there. Oh, wow. This reminded me, first thing I thought of was like that scene in Labyrinth.
Okay. I never saw that.
Very
But I'm going to write it on my list. Yeah, so this was day one, lines, and when I saw that prompt, I just thought, what can I do with lines? So I was just trying to push myself, in every way that I could think of to come up with line designs that were original. And you can, it's messy. It's not perfect, but it prompted a lot of ideas for me.
It's wonderful. And now that people have seen a little bit of what they can sort of do with this, do you want to talk a little bit about the challenges that you're running?
Yes. So we're going to be hosting the free motion, the 31-day free motion doodle challenge online during the month of November. So it starts November 1st and runs through December 2nd. And I think I added on an extra day so that we could just have a day to, I'm going to do a prize drawing at the end. So we'll do that on the 2nd and just kind of a day to wind things up. So, and I kind of explained how the challenge works before, but basically, all you need to do is get signed up, and then you'll get an email every day of the challenge, and the email will give you your prompt for the day, and then it will have tips and tutorials, videos from Dara and me, and what we would like you to do is, after you've done your doodle for the day, and you can take as long as you want or spend as little time as you want, it's just, getting it done and establishing the habit. And when you've done your doodle, we'd like you to just take a picture and post it on Instagram with the hashtag #FreeMotionDoodleSchool. And then also tag me. You can tag Dara too. I'm just kind of the one running the show this time, where she's helping, but I'm kind of the contact. So you can tag me at Dappled Things by Amy. Dappled Things by Amy is the name of my quilting business, Quilting and Fiber Arts.
And that is on our website as well, on Amy's author page. So if you check out the book on the CNT website, there's a link right there to Dappled Things Quilting.
Right. Yeah, so we want to make sure the part of the awesome thing about doing this online is that we can do it together as a community and inspire and motivate each other and get ideas from each other. So I'd love to see as many designs posted as possible. I taught these books as a class and had a book signing last Wednesday, and one of the ladies asked if she had to post her doodles online. And if you're shy about doing that, no, just you can still participate in the challenge and just let me know you did it, and you'll still be in the prize drawing at the end. But I'm going to encourage everybody to post their doodles.
People can collaborate and learn and share.
Yeah, and we all love to see what everybody else is creating.
And for those who are interested in signing up, this is the link. You can click on that. It's at dappledthingsbyamy.com.
Yes, so it's really easy to get signed up, and once you're signed up, you'll get an email, and I have already sent out the email with all of the list of supplies and things like that. But you can join still anytime, even after November 1st. And that's another thing. If you miss your prompt for a day, or if you start late, that's okay. You can make it up. I'm not going to, hold you to doing one every day. So that's always a possibility. So yeah, you can follow that link anytime and get signed up. Even halfway through November, I'd be okay with it. I can send you the emails that you've missed. So
that's wonderful. That way people can sort of do it at their own pace and,
Yeah, I want to make it flexible.
Yeah, and for those who are interested, the link to the Doodle School book is in the chat below. And I wanted to thank everyone so much for watching today, and thank you, Amy, for coming. It's been wonderful having you. For those who are signing up to the class, please post your drawings. We would love to see. We'll be keeping an eye on the hashtag. So one more time, that hashtag is #FreeMotionDoodleSchool on the screen. And thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Amy, for being here.
Thank you, Jessica.